we learned very quickly that if we wanted to talk to Frank, we had to ask Mary's permission to talk to Frank. And once she gave permission, then Frank would talk to us. So there are rules about what's going on, but that's their personality, and we understand that and we accept that. So anyways, Mary and Frank are. Mary is the alpha female here. She has the most energy as the female here. She runs the inn still. This is her inn. She takes care of the children that are here and watches over them and sets the rules for the inn. So
She died in that upper room, so, yeah, right there, which is directly over the bed in room 5. So whoever's in room 5, if you hear something up there, that's Mary.
a lot of people hear a rocking
That
chair
was
rocking
me.
up there. She died there
I
on
heard
January
her.
1st, 1911, but she had a rocking chair up there that she liked to rock in. People hear that rocking chair rocking up there in the middle of the night. There's no rocking chair up there anymore. So, but she is still up there. That's her room.
What is upstairs now?
Well, up in this front room, it has Joy's long arm quilting machine. It's also Mary's room. So Joy asked permission to go in there when she goes in there to sew and stuff like that. Now Mary was a quilter in her life as well as a hat maker and things like that. Joy and Mary have almost identical personalities as far as running the inn.
Chuck's
Love.
not henpecked.
No. As you can tell by my voice, we're co-equals and I just, verbal vomiting.
People.
But, up in that room, basically, when we first put Joy's long arm sewing machine up there, Mary didn't know what it was. And she said, get that contraption out of my room. And we said, where should we put it? And they said, outside, I don't want it in my room. Once she learned that it was an item to make quilts, she's accepted it, and she allows Joy up there to quilt and stuff like that, and she loves it now. It's a neat thing for her, but she was a quilter, and that's the discussion we had to go through, but it was a process. In the back room is our daughter Ginny's bedroom, and in the middle is a long hallway, basically a storage area for us right now. So, that's that. Good question. Again, here is the tin shop. Here, this big building back here is the barn. This part that's still there is a stable. That's basically our bedroom, and it's our office. Basically, it's our research room. It looks like the basement of a library, boxes and boxes of research with a bed thrown in the middle. It's pretty hectic getting in and out of there. We go through a bunch of boxes just to get to the bathroom and stuff like that. Okay? Just the way we are. It's our research room.
TMI, Chuck.
What?
Too much information.
Too much. Okay. I'm sorry. She's my filter. I don't have one, but she does. This is Lewis, Mary Mason Clark. Fannie Mason Kurtz is the granddaughter of Lewis and Nancy. She was born in the inn 10 days before Lewis's death. She married in the parlor here and died in the inn in May of 1951 down here in the dining room. She's the perfect grandmother. She's still here, and she watches over the inn at night, and if we don't lock the door at night, it will be locked in the morning. When our grandkids were learning to crawl, these weighted doors that are on both sides of this dining room would open gradually so the child could crawl through, and then would gently close behind them. When they started walking and wanted to go out in the backyard on their own, the back door would close and lock so they couldn't go out on their own. She's the perfect grandmother. This is the Mason later. So she was the last Mason family owner. This was taken in Washington, D.C. William hired Frank as an assistant right before his death, and he died shortly after his arrival in Washington, D.C. But that's the way he's seen around here. He's very immaculately dressed in a suit and tie all the time like that. Mary changes outfits depending upon the day. Sometimes it's bright colors, sometimes it's grays, blacks, sometimes it's a nightgown, depending upon what's going on. She changes her outfit. Frank doesn't. So these are the shackles that we found in the inn for the Underground Railroad. They're actually here on a mantle. Those were actually worn by a teenage boy. Those are ankle shackles. You can see that the links don't give him much walking steps to move. And the sword was actually one of our soldiers that actually died here. And we're actually giving information to try to document who he was, where he came from, and stuff like that. He's giving us only brief information. I don't know if we'll talk to him tonight. Depends upon if he wants to talk or not. We'll see. But interesting enough, he was earthbound when we first started talking to him. We got him to go to the light. And now he just doesn't want to talk about the war, but we want details about his time and what he was doing and how he got to the inn and stuff like that. So we want to catch up on that history and find out where he mustered in and things like that. So we're hoping to get that information whether tonight or down the road. Okay, anybody have any questions? Now, catch you up on the history. After the Mason family sold it in 1956 out of the Mason family for the first time, it was sold to Cal and Brother Redhead out of Des Moines. They ran it from 1956 to 1989. And during that time, it was turned initially into a museum because there were roof leaks and things like that, and they had to clean up all the rooms. Hello.
I'm supposed to be on vibrate.
And a couple of the rooms, because the Mason family had owned it for so long, when somebody in the Mason family would pass away, they'd bring all their furnishings here to store in the inn. A couple of the rooms were floor to ceiling with furniture, and they had to clean out all those rooms to make them rooms for guest rooms and stuff. So they, in the 1960s, they opened it up as a bed and breakfast, what we call bed and breakfast today. It was basically a hotel in the 1800s with a bed and breakfast, but they didn't use those terms. And it was run as a bed and breakfast. And in 1972, they put it on National Historic Register as the Mason House Inn. Now, when Fannie Mason Kurtz owned it, there were not a lot of travelers still going on in the area. So she at least rented it out to the town doctors and teachers. Now, one doctor actually took care of his patients here. He lived in room 5 with his wife. And there were originally 10 rooms on the second floor. So he used the remaining rooms for his patient rooms. And that went on from the 1920s to the 1940s. He passed away, and when he passed away, his wife said this was his home. So all his medical equipment and his medical doc books are up in room 5, for whoever's in room 5. So those are Dr. Gray's medical records and stuff. Now, when Fannie Mason Kurtz would have dinner parties here during that time frame, she would invite the public here, and the invitations would say, "Welcome to the Mason House," which was the people in town referred to the Mason House Inn, because it had been, they were the last family from the 1800s still here. And everyone referred to it as Mason House. So she said, "Welcome to the Mason House, AKA Phoenix Hotel, AKA Ashland House." So she never allowed the history of the inn to be forgotten, but she allowed the town to call it the Mason House Inn. And it went on the National Historic Register in 1972 that way. And in 1989, it was sold to Bill and Cheryl McDermott, and they basically ran it until 2001 when we purchased it. After the 1993 flood, they basically upgraded the rooms upstairs, brought electricity in, plumbing, and went from 10 rooms down to 5 rooms and turned them into larger suites upstairs. Except for room 4, which stayed in its original size with the bathroom on the outside of the hallway. So that's kind of what happened with that. And then we bought 2001, and we've been here 16 years. And we are the 5th family owner, 171-year history, and the 3rd longest. That's the brief history, I guess, we ran through quickly. Now we want to get into evidence. That's what you want, right?
Yeah.
When we first moved here, we had no idea what an orb was. Now, Joy's an empath. She's seen spirits her entire life.